Hey everyone, I'm Darshan Senthil and welcome to this little video I'm going to be doing on discovered attacks. Now this was actually something I meant to incorporate into my intermediate chess tactics tutorial series, but for some reason I completely forgot and I concluded the series before I could add this in. So I will just put this in that playlist, and although it does not look officially a part of that, it is one concept that does appear in that. So I'll keep it there so you can view it up as a part of that series. It's something that you should view in that particular time. So let's just get started. So now I'm going to be playing black here, and when I move my king to c6 right here, what do you notice happens? When I move my king here, suddenly this queen is able to give a check onto this king. So my king was the only thing blocking this check between the queen and the king, this white king. So once it moved, it sort of unblocked this kind of attack here, and this is what a discovered attack is called. It's when you move a piece to open the way for another. Now this is something that can only be done with long range operators such as bishops, rooks, knights and queens. Sorry, not knights, bishop, rooks and queens. But still, any other piece can be involved in the discovered attack. Like for instance, the king can, you can have any piece over here that can somehow move out of the way and create a discovered attack. But the thing that actually performs the attack can only be a long range operator. Just as in with skewers and pins, only long range operators can actually do them. So when you move your king, and this sort of attack forms. Now let's just go get some problems done to just see how we can apply those concepts. Okay, so right here, just notice that there's no apparent discovered attack available for black. So just like with pins and skewers, it's not something that just comes up and is presented to you. You need to sometimes operate and get it done yourself using some amount of calculation to get you into a favorable position for it to happen. So just notice that you've got this rook here, and this bishop here, and this knight here, and this pawn here, and this king all on the same file. And when the rook and the king are on the same file, and there are not many pieces between them, you're in for some action. And in this case also you can have some action, but the problem is you've got two pieces obstructing the way and one of white's pieces, so you're gonna need to somehow clear the space before you can actually operate your skewer. So just take a minute if you want to and find out how you can find a devastating skewer to sort of turn the tide of the game in your favor. So take a minute and just find that. So the move here that actually does that is knight to d3 check. Now what that does is it's now putting white in a sort of stuck situation. If he used to move, he has two options here. He can either move his king or he can capture the knight. If he were to move his king right now, he would be losing his queen to this fork over here, and that would not be something he would prefer. So his best option is actually to take the knight with his pawn, and from here notice what you get. If you play your bishop to a3, you're attacking the queen, and at the same time you've got this long discovered attack on the king. So you're attacking two pieces at once using your discovered attack, and this is one of the biggest ways you'll use discovered attacks while you play chess. It's often to gain material and also get these devastating double attacks, sometimes on the same piece, for lovely results. So yeah, now it doesn't matter what white does, he can move his king to d1 and we can gobble up on the queen, and that's that. You've just gained yourself a nice material, not a lead, but you've equalized the material, and now you can go on to win from here if you play well. So yep, that concludes this example. Now let's just look at another example right here. Okay, now in this particular example you're going to actually have to get a checkmate. You're actually going to get a checkmate here, so you need to plan a little bit ahead and sort of try to get that right move here that enables you to just get a checkmate rather than some extra material. I know it's really tempting to munch on the queen there from your bishop on a5, but you don't want to move that bishop right now. That bishop is controlling a valuable set of squares, as you will see later on, and just go for the checkmate here, don't go for material. So just try to find that nice discovered attack that'll get your checkmate, and yep, just pause the video and find that out. Yep, so the first thing we notice here is that we've got two pieces on this line, and our rook and the white king are on the same line, and you've got the two pieces between them. And both of them are your pieces, which is very important. So you have the power to move them out quickly, so you can get your discovered attack in easily. So White's most forcing move for the discovered attack would be bishop g4 check. Now this not only keeps the tempo going, it also cripples down White even more. Now he has very few options from here. Now he can either move his pawn up to f3, which is one of the most obvious, and from here knight to c3 would be checkmate, again bringing out the discovered attack, and also a double attack. This is a double discovered attack, I guess, which is devastating against the white, which against the king, or any other piece for that matter, but most effective against the king. This is really good because he cannot actually, it's especially effective when it's done with a knight, because it completely eliminates the option of your opponent just blocking it, so, or capturing any piece. So he has to move his king, and if he cannot move his king, that's checkmate. That's why double discovered attacks with a knight are the most effective when used on the king. His other option would be to move his queen down to e2, and from here the actual checkmate is going to be knight to e3. Now this is something that you should be aware of, because if you move to c3, you're blocking up your diagonal here, and he can move to e1, and suddenly it just looks a little bit, it's going to take an extra move, and your attack's momentum is slightly dimmed. So just make sure you're paying attention to all the aspects of the position as well, not just your skewer or anything else. So yep, just keep your eye out for that, and know that knight to e3 would be the forcing checkmate move here, rather than assuming he brings his queen out to e2. So let's just go on to one final example. So in this last example here, we're just gonna look at how to gain some material again and sort of tweak the position to your advantage. We'll be playing white here for the first time in this video, and we're just gonna look how we can gain some material using a discovered attack. So pause the video if you'd like to, and just find White's best move that will gain him some good material here. Okay, so that move would actually be d4 here. Now what this does is it attacks the black bishop here, and also makes this other discovered attack on the queen, and this would gain White some material. But however, black's got one little trick up his sleeve. He's gonna bring his knight from g6 down to f4. Now if you're not careful, you're just gonna go ahead and take the bishop, and he's gonna get checkmate, and after all, your king is far more important than a simple black bishop. So you gotta pay attention to this here. Now if you just let him go, he's gonna win the game. So you gotta be a little bit careful and just see how you can twist the game, how you can just ensure that you get that piece. Now you're just gonna have to take that little extra step to just try and keep that in your control, and your best move to do that here is actually going to be bishop takes f4. Now this again puts an attack on the queen, so he cannot afford to just run away with the bishop, and he's gonna just take that bishop right now, so just to continue the trade. And now you would go in and take that bishop on c5. That's rightly yours. So it's important to just pay attention to those little steps here that you might miss, and just know that if he had actually missed that, he would have lost the game. So just keep in mind that maybe you may need to sometimes just play that little extra move to get the position entirely in your favor. So that concludes this video on discovered attacks. I hope you found it informative and instructing. So yep, thanks for watching.